Welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. Today's video is an informal reading vlog because it is my birthday. I just wanted to relax, read some books, play some games. Later on today, my husband and I are going to make fajitas and some ice cream and cake. But until then, I just want to chill. Although I've already wrecked my plan a little bit, I intended to do this reading vlog on The Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. And I sat down last night to read about 10% of it so that I could know, one, that I wanted to continue on, and two, have a little bit of the characters to talk about. And then the next thing I know, I've already more than half of this novel. So it's been delightful so far. I've really been enjoying it. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that book. I'll probably finish it today. I've never read any Michael J. Sullivan before, but he has published the Riviera Revelations, which is a very popular fantasy series. And this series, the Legends of the First Empire, is a prequel series. I believe it's 5 books long. My cat is over there being really playful. Luna! Luna! But he says you don't have to have any knowledge. There she goes. But the author says, Luna, come here. The author says you don't have to have any understanding of his Riviera series prior to reading this one, which is great. So I'm going in with a completely open mind about the series. And the thing that inspired me to pick this book up, a couple booktubers that I watch, Joshana loves the series, and she's done a whole video on it about her appreciation for the characters in the series. Recently, Jessie May, in some of her wrap-ups, she has started the series and was just gushing over it. And I was really feeling the desire to read some character-driven fantasy that would really make me feel, and based on what they were saying, I thought that this would fit the ticket. So I picked it up, and I haven't been disappointed so far. Since time immemorial, humans have worshipped the gods they call Frey, truly a race apart. The cat's back. Invincible in battle, masters of magic, and seemingly immortal. But when a god falls to a human blade, the balance of power between humans and those they thought were gods changes forever. Now only a few stand between humankind and annihilation. Wraith, reluctant to embrace his destiny as the god killer. Suri, a young seer burdened by signs of impending doom. And Persephone, who must overcome personal tragedy to lead her people. The age of myth is over. The time of rebellion has begun. This is a multi-point of view series. We primarily follow Wraith, Suri, and Persephone. There are a couple of smaller perspectives that have been sprinkled in so far, but I have to say, one fear that I have when I'm reading epic fantasy, especially epic fantasy with lots of characters, is I always have the fear that I'm going to be less attached to one perspective or less interested to one perspective and just be eager for it to be over. But that's not the case so far in this series. Every perspective we've been shown so far, I've been interested because they've been telling us more about the world or advancing the plot, or I've already really started feeling for the characters. And actually a couple of times there's a dry humor laced throughout the story that's made me laugh out loud a couple times so far. As the story opens, Wraith, one of our main characters, he is out with his father on lands forbidden to them. Wraith is human, and they have crossed over into the Frey lands. But humans, which are called runes by the Frey, humans consider Frey to be godlike because they are very long-lived. They're not immortal, but they do live a really, really long time. And some of them have access to magic, which can do terrifying things. And in turn, the Frey consider runes or humans to be very primitive. We're so short-lived, and without the magic, the humans are so uncultured that it's like they look at the humans like insects, like animals, basically, who just run around, multiply, and are not refined. Wraith and his father are, of course, found by one of the Frey, one of the warrior class of the Frey, and Wraith's father's just a little bit hot-headed, let's say that. They get into a scuffle, and Wraith ends up killing this Frey, which blows his mind because he thought they're gods and he thought they're immortal, and he killed one. When that happens, he ends up freeing one of the human slaves that was with the Frey, a man named Malcolm, and they flee together. Malcolm is great. He's a little bit of a storyteller, and so as he and Wraith are going from village to village, trying to survive, trying to get away, Malcolm starts spreading really tall tales about Wraith and how he's the god killer, and that reputation starts to precede him. Meanwhile, there's Persephone. She's the wife of the chieftain, and the chieftain has just returned from a hunt of a demon bear slain. All of a sudden, overnight, she has no living children left. Her husband is dead, and a new chieftain has taken the place of her husband, and now she is sort of bereft. She was the second in command basically for 20 years, and now she's just living on the charity of her friends within the village as these ill tidings start rolling in, because of course the Frey aren't going to take lightly that a human killed one of their kind, and it's starting to impact a lot more of the humans. To make matters worse, a young girl, a very wild girl named Suri, who's a bit of a mystic, a bit of an augur, walks into Persephone's village with all of these bad tidings, and Persephone can't get the new chieftain to listen to these ill tidings, and is frustrated by the fact that the new chieftain isn't really leading, and somebody's got to when all these events start unfolding, which of course puts her in a difficult position in her own village. That's how the events start brewing throughout the story. It's very fast-paced so far, and you can kind of feel that the climax of this one is really going to kick off the whole series, I think. But what stands out to me most so far are the characters. Persephone, my main perception of her is that she sees the best in people, maybe a little bit naive. You know, you're reading from her perspective, and you can see she may be thinking about something one way, but as the reader you can see that's not the way it actually is. Wraith is just trying to keep ahead of the trouble that he inadvertently caused, but he is loyal and wants to stand up for what's right. And then Suri, she can talk to trees. She has a wolf companion. She's a bit odd, but she was raised in the forest, and she thinks that human civilization, everyone who would be willing to live within city walls, must be a bit touched in the head. Then we have the combination when different Frey start entering the scene. So we have some character perspectives from the Frey side, specifically one who has been sent out to try to quell this madness. So yeah, I'm really liking the interaction and how the different characters have come together so far. They have come together, which is great. You're not just following these fractured perspectives throughout the world. So yes, I expect I will most likely finish this today, and then we'll come back and talk about it some more. Do you hear that? It's the sound of freshly brewing coffee on this relaxing day. Huh, cat? I finished the book this morning, and I really liked it. The different characters were all necessary because they showed different actions, they had different background knowledge, and yet their actions played off of each other very well. So I really liked from a plotting standpoint, I liked that each of the characters was necessary. More importantly, I liked each of the character perspectives shown. One was more of an antagonistic character. Like, one of the smaller point of views is an antagonist, so don't really like that character, but it's still necessary, and it's interesting because you're learning more about the Frey and their magic, or they call it the art. The events in the story are somewhat contained to one basic location, one village, and like the area surrounding the village, yet these different groups of people are all kind of converging there, and you can tell that a much larger storyline is about to kick off. Like, the pieces are all set in place now. Although I do think that as an individual novel, this had a satisfying conclusion. Definitely there are threads of a larger plot that I'm very interested to read and continue on with the rest of the series. I really liked the writing style. It wasn't overwritten. It's very straightforward. The dialogue is very good and realistic. The descriptions are somewhat funny, very down to earth, yet although I like the main characters, they're all flawed in their own ways. And I like how the world building presents religion, like they're the gods, the human gods, versus the magic and the power that the Frey believe in, how they may or may not be skeptical of one another's religions and thought processes. There's this whole clash of civilizations as far as the Frey still thinking that they are superior to the humans. How that's portrayed throughout the various perspectives and the sort of cultural differences is very well woven into the story. It just contributes to the rich feeling of the world building in the novel, but it's not done in an overbearing way. It's cemented in what the characters think and then drives how they behave. And then at the end, we got a hint of a little bit more political intrigue on a wider scope that will be coming. So all in all, I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars on my rating, and I have a new series to read now. Yeah, very satisfying read, and I'm looking forward to picking up the rest of the series, and maybe that can be a project for me to read the rest of the series this year. So I think my coffee's almost done. I'm probably going to wrap up my reading vlog here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the slightly more relaxed reading vlog ramble about a new book that I really enjoyed. And if you haven't read the series, I hope that you'll give it a try. And if you have read it, let me know what you think. Let me know who's your favorite character from the first novel. If I had to pick, I don't know, actually, it's really hard to pick a favorite. Of the 3 main characters, Wraith, Persephone, and Suri, and Aneurin, actually 4 main characters, it's really hard to pick a favorite. They all did a really, the author did a really well-rounded job on all of them, so I'll have to think about that one. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to support your local library.